Okay, so guys, we're just going to go over. We're going to go over this book, okay, and the new unit. And so again, I'm recording this for the guys that are away, and so you have to kind of keep the voice down a little bit because I don't want to do this once. We're going to record this for the guys that are away, and for you guys to come back and check this. So if you have any questions or anything, say them now while it's recording so we know. So obviously your last unit was a bit tough, but you know, you did a pretty good job of it. So when I'm looking at this one, I was looking at a few things for research and a few things we can compare it to, so it'll make some sense. So what you guys are doing is a documentary, okay? And I thought for a good bit of incentive, I would actually look up the Oscars. So your guidelines here are from the Oscars, okay? They're from the actual short documentary category. So I've gone there. These are actually the rules that you apply to do this, okay? And there's actually an entry form there as well. So you can actually enter this into the Oscars. The only thing that we can't do, that we need to be able to do to enter it, is it needs to have a theatrical screening. That's the only rule I reckon that we can't hit here. So if you can get your movie, your doco that we're making, shown at, say, Readings in Warm Ponds or in Sunbury. No, it actually needs to be a theatrical screening. That's the only rule. I went through these rules. That's the only one I don't think will hit. But anyway, so use these rules as a guideline, but I like them. So an eligible documentary film is defined as a theatrically released, guys, theatrically released non-fiction motion picture dealing with creativity, with cultural, artistic, historical, social, scientific, economic, or other subjects. So that's what we're looking at, okay? It may be photographed in actual occurrence, or may employ partial reenactment, stock footage, stills, animation, stop motion, or other techniques, as long as the emphasis is on fact and not on fiction. Okay? Oh. So what does that mean for you guys? It means your documentary has to be real. Okay? I know we chatted about making mockumentaries and stuff like that, but I want it to be real. So go back and look at these main words here, okay? A picture dealing creatively. Creatively. Why can't I say that word? Creatively. Why can't I say that word?
We're still doing mockumentary that's still on real topics and real things.
Explain.
So I was doing mine on scouting, because I'm in scouts forever, and I could do that but make it funny.
Yeah, you can make it funny as long as it's still about scouts.
Yeah. It's factual.
Yeah, so you can't make up, like, your scout leader is real. The people in there are real. You can't make this stuff up. All right, excellent. All right, cool. But let's have a look at these main words then. So we've got cultural, artistic, historical, social, scientific, economic, or other subjects. Okay, so your other is where you'll see me about some other stuff. So it's got to be real, okay, and it's got to be within those guidelines. All right, it could be anything. You know, you could do a doco about going to a Comic-Con or some science fiction place and that's where you get your humour from, you know, from your themes. You know, I know Zoe we were talking about the Deb, you know, and maybe she can do a doco on the Deb. In terms of, she might look at it from the side of, she doesn't like the idea of the Deb and what that represents, and so she can use that as a doco, okay, and some really good stuff there. So start thinking about that kind of stuff. All right, so in terms of the vet stuff, this is a combined unit, so we're putting 2 units into one here. Okay, this is how we can get through all of 3-4 with only doing 3 SACs. Okay, so you're looking at CUFD 1G 301A, or prepare video assets. Identify video assets, obtain digital sources of video, and package video assets. Basically, that whole unit is about video and what you do with it. How you export it for different formats, all that kind of stuff. That's that unit. And then the second unit, write content for a range of media. That's your doco. That's the content that you're writing. There's your 2 units, okay? So, here's your design brief. You have been asked to prepare a documentary for entry into the 86 Academy Awards Documentary Awards short subject. Okay? So you've got until, I think you've got till September when the entries close. All right. Yes, so if you go through here are the award rules, okay? I'll go through a couple of them. Eligible documentary film is defined as theatrical release. We've done that. Categories. Documentary awards are divided into categories. Documentary feature. Okay. Motion pictures with a running time of more than 40 minutes. I'm guessing we won't be doing that one, but you can. Documentary short subject. This is where I'm sure you guys will probably aim for. Motion pictures with a running time of 40 minutes or less, including all credits. Okay, so that's the short subject category. You win an Oscar for that. Okay, less than 40 minutes in your doco. Documentary, here are the rules, eligibility, blah, 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 blah. You've got to do it at a commercial theatre, 7-day commercial run. There you go, it's going to do that, 7 days. Film must have won an award at a competitive film festival, so we can set that up. Blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Eligibility period for documentary short subject begins on September 1st, 2012 and ends on August 31st, 2013. So we've still got time. Qualifying film, must win, takes place, rah, rah, rah. Anyway, you can go through all of those. They're the actual Oscar stuff. Theatrical requirements. This is what you need to have it filmed at to be eligible. Eligibility must be publicly exhibited using 35mm, 70mm film or 24 or 48 frame progressive scan digital cinema format with a minimum projector resolution of 2048 by 1080 pixels. Okay, pretty big. We don't even have that equipment at this school to be able to display this. Okay, but that's them there. If you want to follow those rules, you can. They're all there. Go through them all. They're interesting. It's a good read. It's a good read. Okay. Producer guidelines. So you guys are director and producer here. Go through all this kind of stuff, what you need to do, securing finance. I mean, this is stuff that is actually kind of, relevant. What have we got? Like securing financing, hiring any writers that you might need, engaging the director, managing rights, clearances, insurance, legal issues, So, with that last movie, they would have to have cleared that music that Davin sung and make sure he was okay with it to be in their screening. Securing shooting locations, selecting a briefing cinematographer, preparing the final budget, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's it there. And finally, the fact for all the final questions on how you can get this to be eligible for the Oscars. So again, other than the theatrical release and maybe the screened and won an award at a short film contest. We could do this, okay?
We could do this
so
there is an Oscar to be had in this classroom.
Let's do this as a guideline, okay? So that's there. All right, so that's the rules. Now, they were quite detailed. So here is the IDM version of these rules, okay? So your documentary must be saved in a variety of formats that will enable it to be viewed on the following platforms. So this is, again, that kind of the vet stuff coming in. This is where it starts to get a bit dry. Web, DVD, and mobile phone. Okay, so in other words, your final outputted footage needs to be able to be displayed on these three things well. Okay, so mobile phone, DVD, and web. They'll all be different formats. So we'll have a chat about formats as this SAC goes through the motions. Okay, we'll break down these individual parts because these are the important stuff. You must also create a DVD cover using file formats suitable for high quality print. So there's another file format there. Off the top of your head, what do you think that would be? For a high quality print, we talked about this a few times.
300 dpi.
300 dpi, yeah. Okay, so this is the questions that they're looking at. This is the stuff that they're looking at, these file formats. So we've kind of wrapped it up in a pretty picture. Technical specs, so your video must contain the following: an introductory title scene, 5 minutes of footage. That's
the minimum?
Technically it's the maximum, but obviously, like I said, you can make it go for 40 minutes if you want to, because I want to stick to the Oscar stuff. Okay, so 5 minutes. 5 minutes is what you're targeting for. It's not long enough, I don't think, at all for what you could do with this. Okay, we saw what you did with your last project. You smashed it. So 5 minutes. I really think we'd be targeting for more 20 minutes, half an hour. I would love that, but 5 minutes is the key. So speak to me first, though, if you want to go longer, just so we can have a chat about logistics and if this will be possible and everything that will be involved in doing it. Okay, but that would be cool. Through the course of this book, you'll see I've got these different titles. Okay, these are the winning docos from these years. Okay, in the short documentary. Do you want to watch them now, or
Yeah, why not?
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to,
I'm pretty sure this outputs audio.
we can already got audio.
No.
Can you just put the audio onto your iPad?
Yeah, just do that.
No, that's what it's done.
It does.
Just
Just
put the audio on your iPad.
And what do you do? It's so stupid sound.
Yeah, it cuts it off. All right, so watch them in your book. Let me just full screen this. Cool. So you can watch these videos in your own time, okay? But essentially, these are the Oscar-winning movies. Oscar-winning short documentary. So that was from 2012, which is basically about a homeless girl. Sorry? Alright, so let's go to the second page. So you've got, it needs to be 5 minutes or more, hopefully more when you see me. Needs to have credits, needs to have dialogue and audio, needs to have scene transitions. This is stuff that you know, this is stuff that you've done with the Flash one. Needs to be a G rating. That's the only... Yeah, well, again...
Wait, G or PG?
G. But...
You can't do pigeon.
No. Well, let's face it, G for me, back when I was a kid, is now... Wait, how does that work? Yeah, it's equivalent as... No, wait, that doesn't work. What was M for me when I was a kid is G for you guys now. That probably makes more sense. Yeah, again, speak to me. Like, there's no... I'm not going to censor you guys, so speak to me if you have any concerns about your rating not being a G rating, but that's kind of one of the things we need to do. Okay, well, that's your movie. That's your documentary done. So the next part is a DVD cover must contain the following title, one or more photographic images, spine, introduction, description of content, quotes, and credits. Look, it's going to be like most of the DVD covers that you see in the stores. Okay, so you can use that as reference. That's what you'll be doing as well. All right, so this is 2011 Oscar winner, and I'll get you guys to watch that in your own time. It's sad. Okay, production plan. So this is what you need to do. This is the steps we need to do to get this done. Production plan. Write up a documentary brief that will help explain the purpose of your documentary to others. Okay, that's what you'll be doing. That's what you'll be doing for me before you start. You're going to have to write a brief, and I'm going to have to yay or nay your brief. Okay? Make a list of all the key tasks involved in completing this brief. All right, so all the things that you need to do to get this brief done, you need to explain that as well. Work out the resources, source material, and the time you'll need for each. Then complete a timeline. Include a column on your timeline to document your progress. Allow 5 minutes at the end of each lesson to insert comments on your timeline regarding your progress and any problems encountered. So you can see what we're trying to do here. Basically, I want you to document this whole process every class. Okay? We kind of attempted it last time, but it's now part of the criteria.
But you also can see how important it is, because the last project caught up with us a little bit. So if you're staying on top of it the whole time, then we know we're running to a timeline and to track.
So yeah, end of every class, you'll need to do that. Okay. Include a list of file formats that you will need to save your work in, both video and print requirements. Okay, that's your plan. That's your production plan. All right, and there's 2010 Oscar winner. Okay. Some guiding questions. This is going to help your thinking and your planning. Okay, so what will be the main theme and focus of your documentary? You need to think about. You need to think about that. Okay, what's going to be the theme and focus of your doco?
What do you mean theme?
Video games. Indie gaming could be a theme. Debutante ball is a theme. I don't know. Hope, sadness, overcoming diversity, stuff like that. Why is that gone?
What?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the point. So, yes, theme, the theme of your doco. Okay, so it can be anything you want, again, as long as it falls in that Oscar guidelines that we chatted at the start. Okay, so,
So do
yeah.
we have to do it within the Oscar guidelines?
Yes, please, that's why I put them there.
No, I mean, can we go out of them as long as they cover the criterion of that thing?
Like what? What do you mean?
I don't know, but...
Well, when you get to that, let me know. Who will you be interviewing and what...
Listen, swear.
Who will you be interviewing and what do you hope to get from these interviews? So, obviously, docos, let's face it, most of them will have interviews in them. Actually, they pretty much all do. So you're going to have to think about that. The people you're going to get to interview for this and for your doco, they need to be real. They can't be actors. Because that's part of it being a work of non-fiction, not fiction.
What
Okay?
if Gavin becomes a Wright Brothers expert over the weekend?
Then he's acting.
Japanese year 12 students.
Then it's not real.
That were the theme.
Damn it.
So it needs to be, yeah, it needs to be factual. Okay? So think about that.
Wait, is that for the Oscar part or for the... Oh, yeah.
For what I've decided you're going to do.
Alright.
Yep. I don't want it to be made up.
Why is that lid playing?
You're making this hard.
Okay, so where will your filming locations be? All right, guys, lads, let's kind of we're nearly there. Come on, there's a person in a wheelchair. Where will your filming locations be? Think about that. Okay, obviously you'll have time in IDM to do your filming, but if for the sake of your story, your locations need to be elsewhere, then you'll have to figure out where you're going to go, how you're going to film, how you're going to go there, weekends, after school, whatever. Okay, so you need to think about that. Can your subject be easily accessed? So, Davin, are your scout guys going to be available? Are they going to be able to do interviews? Are they going to be, I don't know, is there a law that they can't show woggles on camera? I don't know. Like, well, they will, because they obviously work for the Scout Association. Maybe these guys aren't allowed to be on camera. This is stuff that you need to check out, okay, before you say, this is what I'm making, okay? You need to do all of this fact checking first. These guys might not be able to do this for you. So you need to double check. And you need to find if they're going to be they're accessible. So if you need to do reshoots, are they going to be around? Are they going overseas? Are they going to be there? Okay, so you've got to think about that. Have you considered a number of different filming approaches? So interviews, reenactments, you can do all that kind of stuff. We talked about that. So there's your acting there and your reenactments. You can use Davin then. Okay, Davin could be reenacting one of the Wright brothers because he's an actor in that section. But he's not a Wright brother. Okay? You can do animation, like at the start, animation, stop motion, whatever you want, you can put into here. Okay? Voiceover, if you want to use that, again, a lot of docos do. Old photographs, memorabilia, can you source this stuff for this movie? Have you considered how you're going to develop your camera technique and editing technique? And storytelling. Have you considered transitions, cuts, music? Okay, you've got to think about your entire production before you begin. Have you completed some thumbnail sketches of various approaches to your ideas? So what is that harking back to? What are we talking about with the last one?
Are you talking about storyboards or?
All that. No, thumbnail sketches of various approaches. We did all that with Flash. Okay, this is all going to be in your... To the hand action, that means you tell me the answer. Hand action. Well, yes, all in your sketchbook. All right, that's part one. Any questions on part one?
Why?
This is cool, man. I wish I was doing this.
We'll do it then.
You can do it with us.
Well, I will. I'm going to document you guys making a documentary. Yes, that's very meta. I'm going to do that. Yes, I'm going to document you guys making a documentary, and then we'll screen that for the. I don't know where I'm going.
I really hope this
You said for the academy.
Yeah. All right. So that's part one. No questions on part one. No. All right. Concepts. So lads, like before, and lady, like before, we're breaking this into two parts where I want your sketchbook first and then you get into production. So I haven't put a date here yet because I've yet to decide exactly what these dates are going to be. So concepts, using creative thinking skills. There it is again, creative thinking skills, our favourite 3 words. Develop your concept idea. So in your sketchbook, you must produce thumbnail sketches with annotations that clearly show your ideas, development and thought processes for the video and for the DVD cover. Davin.
What are we supposed to do thumbnails of? I understand the storyboard, like, with each scene, but how are we going to do thumbnails of things in real life?
Easy, like, you'll do a thumbnail, maybe, how do you want the opening shot to look? Maybe your opening shot, you want to have the Scout Master in silhouette with the flag raising slowly as it blows in the wind and the sun setting behind him and everyone's like, that's a good woggle. Because woggle's the only Scout word I know. And so you will sketch that scene out.
But wouldn't that be in the storyboard?
Sorry?
Wouldn't that just be in the storyboard?
It's a concept sketch, so it's just a standalone sketch by itself. You know, it's what you need to use to show these guys this is where I want to go. You're getting ideas. You might look at it and go, actually, that looks really corny. I don't want to do that. I want to have my Scout Master hanging from a cliff and a guy's about to fall. And he's like, do a reef knot, do a reef knot. Left over right, right over left. Again, the only other Scout thing I know. And he does it before he falls, and everyone's like, that's an awesome reef knot. Again, only knot I know. So you sketch these scenes out, these ideas. Like that scene that you did in your Flash program with the spider and the guy, and it was in the silhouette, the one I really like. You know, that was nice. You did it by accident, but you know, you could have sketched that out, and that's where I want to end my movie, because it's... We talked about this. Use the book I sent earlier that has the storyboard stuff in there with the Bugs Life stuff. Like it's all relevant. It all links back into this. M?
Two questions.
Yep.
One, will I use if I want to take photos to do annotations on?
Yeah, of course.
Good. Do we have to do two sets of concepts for our DVD and our video, or can we just do them all as one?
No, 2. So think of them as 2 separate entities. Okay. Your movie is one thing, your DVD cover is the other. And they're both quite important. I mean, you can make the greatest movie in the world, but people will judge a book by its cover. So if the DVD cover looks crap, no one's picking it up. Okay, so that's where they both work.
So if I make documentary on this scouting, there should be explosions and big fiery monsters.
Can be whatever you, well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to Scouts in a while. I'm not sure. Do they do that these days? I don't know. Last time I remember was just standing around in a circle and trying to get badges. But
Obviously it changed.
yeah, so guys,
I was a brownie.
I'll have a quick chat. I'm going to talk about, in terms of DVD cover, I'm going to talk about next week about a game called BioShock Infinite.
Oh yeah!
Which some friends of mine worked on. And yes, and we had a great discussion about that because it's a very intellectual game, okay? It's a very clever game, but the cover that they used was a very generic cover for the actual game itself. And there was a big conversation about, all right, why have you done that? Why have you gone from, you've lost your artsy kind of game and your cover's just a guy with a gun, typical kind of Call of Duty cover. And it all went into, but it was really good. It all goes into marketing. It's like, well, people who know about our game are going to buy it anyway. Yeah, we're not selling our game to them. We're selling it to people that play Call of Duty. And so they're going to see a cover, oh, there's a guy with a gun on it, I'm going to buy the game. So I'm going to talk about that next week because it was a really good discussion about how, you know, these things change, how your movie is different from your marketing. Marketing, everything works differently, okay? And then to offset that, they did a really good thing, which was really cool too, is they then made the cover reversible. So on the inside of the cover, they printed their artsy cover, okay? And so when everyone bought it, they could choose just to flip it out and put the other cover in there. So it was really cool. So we'll chat about that next. All right, so sketchbook. Thumbnail sketches, annotations, clearly show your ideas, development, and thought processes for your movie and for your DVD. Two separate things. I'll give you a date for that later. All right, now you've got your production. So this is what you need to look at for your production. Copywriting. All right, copywriting is writing text. This isn't copyright. Okay, if you're a copywriter, that the word means you're creating this stuff. That makes sense? So don't confuse the two. Okay, so copyright and copywriting, different things. All right, so if you worked for an advertising company and you were a copywriter, you were the guy, because it's called, have you ever heard the phrase writing copy? Okay, it's a 50s thing. All right, so you worked for an advertising company and you were writing copy. You were writing the words on the ad. Okay, you were doing that. That's writing copy. So that's what copywriting is, writing the copy. I don't know how else I can explain it. You're writing the information. You're writing what you see on the poster. You're writing all that kind of stuff. You're creating the content. That's a better word. All right. So copywriting is creating content. So don't, just in case, and it may, because again, I don't know how these exams at the end of the year work, just in case you get that kind of wordplay, which you know examiners love to do, copywriting, writing copy, writing content. Okay. Copyright without the ing, that's a different kettle of fish. And we know what copyright is, yes? Cool, excellent. So that's a good one. That's a good word to know. Look, we're going to obviously, like, when it gets up to exam time, which is ages away, we'll sit down and I've got some pretty good fun stuff to help you revise for your exams to make them a bit more interesting.
Do you have one exam for that?
Yeah, there's no mid-year exams anymore.
There isn't?
No, it's only one. Okay, so one last time so I know I've got it and it's recorded. Copywriting, writing copy, writing content. That's copywriting. Take off the ing. That's just copyright. Okay? Cool. So, create a detailed script for your video. Detailed script, we know about scripts, we've done them before. Document all copy that will appear on your DVD cover. See? All copy. So, all content that will appear on your DVD cover. So, that's probably a better word for you guys to remember content, but the right word is copy, which is why I'm using the correct terms. Production, filming, editing, design, layout, and finished work. That's all in your production. Okay, number 4, collate all finished work. This is just put it somewhere, all right? Ensure that all work has been saved appropriately on the S drive, blah, blah, blah. Drafts, concept, research, development, blah, 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 blah. You've done all that.
So is that in a Dropbox?
Yes. Okay. Plan what actually happened and a discussion of any problems or issues you had. Okay, that goes in your postmortem.
I'll just edit the metadata.
Sorry?
I'll just edit the metadata.
No, I don't want you to. Because you know we talked about metadata briefly. I'm going to talk about that more because that's another concept that you guys need to know. So I'm dropping these concepts in because this is what the vet side of things is after, okay? It's after video formats, okay? It's after those codecs, all this kind of, all the, I don't know, the buzzwords that we need to look at. So along the way, we're going to be chatting about that. So like the Flash stuff, this whole movie, this whole documentary is for me to sex up the vet stuff and to to put it in a nice wrapper, which I think is a lot more enjoyable. I think this will be a lot of fun. I think this is really, really good. Especially if you can think of a good concept. Pick something that interests you. Don't do something because you think it's going to be funny or it might be a waste of time. Pick something that is relevant to you, something you might even be passionate about, something that is important in your lives. Because it'll be more genuine. If you have, again, I don't know any of this, so I'm just spitting it out there, so I apologise. Like if you've got someone in your family that may be suffering from cancer or a disease, document. You might want to document that process and what they're going through. That's a really good topic, and that's really deep, and it'll be genuine. Okay, so don't be afraid to do that kind of stuff. If there's something that I don't know irks you in the government or in society or in school or the dead, or your exams, this is your platform to speak and to speak out on this kind of stuff, and you'll get heard. So yeah, do that. Think of something that is near to you, that's passionate to you. I know something you want to express because you'll do a better job. Okay, so this could be really, really cool. So metadata we'll talk about later in terms of what metadata is. Do you remember what we did when we touched on it at the start of the year about metadata? It's the data about the data kind of stuff. Yeah, so we'll talk about that a bit more. And then obviously you're doing your post-mortem. Okay. By the way, this indie game didn't win any awards. Like I said, I just put this in there because I thought, and I was correct, Liam, that some of you guys really like it. So that's why that's in there as well. Okay. And finally, your success criteria. Okay, so I'll read these out because you probably can't see them. They're in your book quite clearly. Application of underpinning knowledge. These are these nice words. Video saved in appropriate file formats. So that's kind of the key there. Video reflects understanding of the editing process. Suitable metadata has been created. We'll talk about that later. Elements of video function properly. Titles, credits, dialogue, audio. So your transitions work. Your title's in the right place. Your audio works. So the thing works. Content clearly meets the required brief. Okay, so then we go back to it needs to be rated G. It needs to be 5 minutes or more if you see me. It needs to be non-fiction, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Planning organization, evidence of detailed planning. So that's your sketchbook. Comprehensive timeline with daily recorded comments. So don't forget to do that because I may forget to remind you. So every class you're putting this down. Okay. I would. No, I'm not going to do it. You guys should make yourselves some kind of pro forma so you can just fill that in day by day. It'll be a lot easier. Excel's a spreadsheet, which is broken down to day, shot, what I did today, what worked, what didn't work, and you can fill that yourself. I'm not going to remind you. You just need to have it. Storyboards, evidence of good time management. That should be your recorded comments will show me that. Submitted work is presented in a well-organised fashion, which is something we're working on, aren't we, Liam? This time?
What?
Presented
in an organised. You should see my awesome file format.
No. I'm talking about the pages with the, you had to rip them apart and put them back together again, and they got a big booklet. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. Okay. Problem solving, independent problem solving makes good use of available resources. So that is you guys figuring out what works best for you. Okay. In terms of recording this thing. Now we've got cameras. I thought we had 12. We have 3. Shock to me. Yeah. We only have 3. But Jonesy's got a nice new car, so she pays the bills. Let's see what's. I'm kidding. So yeah, we've only got 3 cameras, but think outside the box. I don't know if anyone's seen Searching for Sugar Man. It's a doco. Won the Oscar last year for best documentary, not short but full. A good chunk of that was filmed on an iPhone 4 because it was filmed on Super 8 film, which is really expensive, and they ran out. So all they used was an iPhone with, the Instagram kind of 24, frame filters that you've got. You can play around with mine later. And they filmed it on that. Won an Oscar. Okay? So it all depends on what you're going to use as to how you're going to film this. So again, you might be wanting to film, I don't know, maybe you want to talk about, it's the wood end, so I'm sure there's a lot of them. Rave parties, something like that. That would actually be a really good thing to use with a phone because you'll get that kind of, because that's how everyone's got their phones up when that's on, and you can get that weird kind of documentary style because the phone's really easy to carry around. So you might want to use your phones. I know most of you guys have iPhones or equivalent, so you've got a really good camera sitting there. Don't use the iPad. No. Okay, don't use your iPad for recording. Use your phones if you've got them. But again, only if it works well and works in the context. Like, I don't want to get this weird shape. If you're filming someone who's dying of cancer, you don't want to be doing selfies with the camera for it. You know, like think about your content and the way you're going to use it. So that could work really, really well. Okay, we've got 3 video cameras which will work really, really well. You might want to film it with an SLR camera because that's got a really cool recording style and it gives a really good picture. You might want to do that because we've got one of those. We've got flip cams if you want to like crowdsource some video, you can do that. BC Boys did a really good doco a while ago. They gave like 100 members of the audience, they gave them all these little flip cams, those, you know, those cheapies that we've got. They gave them all flip cams, they got them to film their concert, and they put together a doco from 100 different people's recordings of that concert and put it together and made a doco. It's really cool. Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, cool. So we can do that. So think about that, okay? Think about what you're going to use. So that's your problem solving. Identifies problems and employs effective problem solution strategies. You guys did that really well in the last unit, obviously. There were lots of problems and you figured them out. Liam, you were kind of the go-to on that, which is great. Makes good use of class time. There's no extensions on this project ever. Once you get a date on this, it stays there because we've already lost 2 weeks because it went into Flash. But it's all right. We've got plenty of time. Meets timelines without outside intervention. Okay, so basically you're getting there without me pushing you every 5 seconds. So there's going to be a lot less of that, which is cool. I wrote that one in there just for me. Okay, expressing ideas and information. Copywriting, video style, and content are appropriate for the given purpose. Video content is both entertaining and informative. All material is presented in an attractive and professional manner. Detailed evaluation. Grammar and spelling are correct. Work has been proofread. That was in the last one too, Davin, by the way.
You said to leave it.
Oh, I did, I know. Yeah, but proofread. But did I tell you to leave it in the? Remember you put it in the post-mortem there?
Yeah.
Good. So work has been proofread with care. Okay, so that's your success criteria for this unit. Now, I don't know if you've figured it out yet, but the biggest benefit with this unit is there's no learning of anything in terms of you don't have to learn how to do Flash with this. You know, this is where you'll have a lot more creative freedom and a lot more time to do that because you're not trying to learn a program. You're not trying to learn how to do... We're going to get into editing. When we get into editing, I'll show you Premiere and how to kind of put that together, okay? But the program isn't the key here. It's hopefully telling a good story. One second. What you will learn and what I will drum into you over the next month-ish or so is stuff like metadata and video formats and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully we can just bring that into conversation as we talk and it's not like a class, this is this, this is that, this is that. Because they're the words and they're the things that are going to come on the exam. Okay? Why would you use an MP4 for the web? What video format do you use for DVD? Does anyone know these questions while I'm splitting them out? All right, so DVD... Video format is a VOB, it's a VOB, you know. You would use an FLV for streaming internet, like for Flash stuff on the internet, you'd use that. Why would your movie be 720p or 1080p for broadcast? Why would it be this? Why would it be that? Why is 16:9 important now? Why is 4:3 important? What is overscan? All these kind of words is stuff that I'm hopefully going to help you out. So for instance, when you film, a lot less these days, but when you used to film a movie, you would have the 4:3, which is your... Actually, do you guys even remember what a 4:3 TV is? In the olden days, the TVs that were big and had tubes, they were square, they were 4:3. Yeah, so that's your 4:3 TV. Now everything's 16:9. So, but when there was that transition point, you'd have to film in 16:9, but also make it work on a 4:3 TV. So you had these guidelines and overscan, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's the stuff that is important for this one. Learning that is really important because that's what's going to come up on your exam. You're not going to get questions about how did you make someone cry with your documentary. It's going to be what is a VOB, okay, stuff like that. So that's the stuff that we'll pick up. All right, so that's it. That's the unit. So before you begin and before you even start any of this, I've got a bit of... No, we're going to do this now. I got research questions. All right. This is just to give you 5 seconds, and by 5 seconds I mean the rest of today.
Which is
to read. Look, I can tell you all this stuff.
What about the diary?
Actually, look, why don't we do this? All right, let's just go through this right now and see if anyone knows any of this. All right, tester mats and all right. What are file formats?
FLVs and all that stuff.
So what's a file format?
Containers.
No.
No, damn it, that's the...
Okay, so a file format like a MOV or a QuickTime or an MP4 or an MP3, or the format of the file. So an MP4 is video, an MP3 is audio.
So,
That's your file format. A container is what that's a compression rate. We'll talk about that in a second. This is the codec. So a codec is how you compress something. So when you guys were doing your animation, some of you exported it as an MOV. So your compression codec was in QuickTime, essentially, okay? And that it may have been called an AVI, but that's the container. So you've compressed it using a certain bit of maths, okay? And then you've put it in a container, you put it in a jar, and that's what it plays in. Does that kind of make sense? Okay? There's lots of different compression formats, and there's a reason why they're all different, you know? Think of when we did Photoshop. So you've got your JPEG is a what? Remember we used those words that we used? No? Lossy, because when you save something as JPEG, you lose quality. But it's a smaller file format. That's why you might want to use JPEG for the internet. If you save something, subtle, I couldn't say that at all. If you want to save something as a Photoshop file, it's a lot bigger, but you don't lose quality. So there are reasons why you want to save the JPEG, and there's reasons why you want to save the Photoshop. And that's the same with this. There's reasons why you want to compress as an MP4, and there's going to be reasons why you want to compress as a H.264 or something like that, okay? So that, again, you're in a world now where there's lots of codecs. So we need to talk about that, because you will get a question on the exam saying, what is H.264? Does anyone know what that is?
That's a compression code.
Compression code, Apple use it a lot. It's super high quality,
Really efficient.
but really good compression, okay? Whereas an AVI of 5 years ago is rubbish quality and it's huge size. So things have got a lot better. All right. Best one to look at it is probably MP3, because this was huge. This is one of the biggest things that we had when I was your age. A WAV file is uncompressed audio. So WAV, W-A-V. Okay, uncompressed, and that would be like for one song, an uncompressed audio file. We're looking at anywhere from 100 to 200 meg uncompressed audio. And MP3 has got that. And it's managed to squish all of that down to 3 meg. And if you guys can tell the difference in quality, you got pretty good ears. So that's where compression rates have come in, and it's really, really cool. And that's then it's easy to share. And there wouldn't be iTunes if we didn't have compression. It just wouldn't happen. Okay. All right. So example of a lossy file format. You know that. We just said it. Example of a lossless. Describe one situation when it would be best to use lossy compression. We just talked about that. And where it would be used. Simple stuff. Name an appropriate file format for an image to be reproduced on the web. JPEG. Yep. Name an appropriate file format for an image to be reproduced in high quality print. Sorry? Yep. TIFF. Photoshop. So you've got to be careful. You wouldn't want to say a word like PSD file there, because you need Photoshop to use that. Even though most people have it, a TIFF can open up on most things. PSD can only open up on a Photoshop. Yeah. Or PDF is another good one too. Blah, 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 blah. What do the following stand for? In what context would they be used? PPI and DPI? No. Dots per inch is DPI? Pixels per inch. Yeah. So one's for... All right, well, bonus points. So you can tell me what are the difference between those two? They sound very similar.
Is it dots for images?
And dots is for screen. Yeah, pixels is for screen and dots is for printing.
Yeah, exactly. What resolution would you save digital image being prepared for a high quality print? What resolution? 300. Yeah, look, it's simple stuff, okay? But this is, unfortunately, again, this is the stuff that comes up on the exam, not... How did you feel after filming your doco and getting, such an amazing response?
Yeah.
You're not getting that. Well, you're getting, what is an MP3?
But would they ask what resolution? Or would they ask what...
They could ask anything.
But is that the right wording? Is that what they ask on the exam? What resolution? Or would they ask what PPI?
PPI? It could be anything. This is the thing with these. I've seen the past couple of them, and they can be very ambiguous in the wording. So, yeah, they may say what resolution, or they may say what... It depends who writes it, because... These exams are written by people, and they're written by different people. Someone may use different words, and it's kind of how it comes in. Yeah. It's weird. I don't like them. What is an MP3? You know what that is. It's audio. Raw HD video is 155 meg per...
What?
Is it?
I don't know.
My bad. That's a lot. So raw HD video is like uncompressed video. And again, depending on the resolution you use, that's a tricky question. How many frames per second in video?
30, 24, 60.
Pick one. No, there's three. They're all three different. Pick one. What do you reckon?
23.9.
So now that question there is tricky. How many frames a second in video? So if I was saying video, what are you thinking?
23.95.
What are you thinking?
30.
There's 30 frames a second in video. But if you go to the movies, it's 24 frames a second.
What?
Now, there's a reason, and this is where history comes into play. So you record things at 30 frames a second. The reason why films are recorded at 24 frames a second is because if you go back 50 years, 100 years, film is expensive. It's really expensive. So how do you make something cheaper? You cut the frames out. So they recorded at 24 frames a second because it was cheaper than recording at 30. Now that makes sense back then. Film is cheap now. We've got digital film. We don't even use film. So why do we stick to 24?
Because it's less memory.
No, this is... I reckon Jones, you could answer this. Why do we stick to 24? They've been doing it for years and years and years. We don't need it anymore, but why are we sticking to it?
Tradition.
Tradition's probably a good one. Why else?
It works.
You've gotten used to it. Okay? You're used to seeing... Yeah, habit. You're right. You're used to seeing 24 frames a second. Now, The Hobbit, the new Hobbit movie, got panned.
Yeah.
Peter Jackson filmed it at 48 frames a second, which is amazing because what you're getting there is you're getting, in 1 second of footage, you're getting 48 frames. You're getting double the amount of information in 1 second, okay? He got completely panned. Everyone hated it. The reason they hated it, or if you, again, look into this, all the response, oh, it's too real. It's too real. What kind of stupid, like, it's too real. And that's what he was getting, because people were so used to this slow, 24 frames a second, nice, kind of slow. They were used to seeing that. When they watch 48 frames a second, it's like watching, a sports recap on TV, because it is exactly as it's happening. It's real. So people didn't like it. And he was getting panned for it. It also caused a few issues too. More frames a second means more detail, which means more work. So the guys doing the special effects, if you had 24 frames a second, because my mate's a cinematographer and he loves 24 frames a second because you can hide stuff in there. You've got motion blur in 24 frames a second because it happens, you've got less frames to do it across, so you get motion blur, so you can hide that stuff. But at 48 frames a second, you can't hide anything. It's all perfectly clear. So again, if you watch it's a good test. I'll see if I can get both of them. If you watch The Hobbit at 48 frames a second, it is a different viewing. You can see every single frame. It's crystal clear. The effects stand out. Yeah, okay, so it's more work. So anyway, that's the weird thing with all this kind of stuff. There is a tradition to it. So yeah, so films are still 24 frames a second. If you buy like a Blu-ray, that'll be 24 frames a second as well because it's keeping that traditional, that film quality. But we're slowly getting out of that as people realise there is better stuff out there. Your generation will probably be watching 48 frames a second movies because you're young and can like new stuff when we're all dead. Okay, that's what will happen. But that's why, again, that's why if you go and saw The Hobbit, if you went and saw The Hobbit, they actually had different, that you could watch the 48 frame a second version, you could watch the 24 frame, you could watch the 24 frame with 3D, you could watch the 48 frame with 3D, you could watch the IMAX version, you could watch the IMAX at 48, there was like 6 versions of it. Like, it was confusing. I mean, it didn't help it was a crap movie, but still, that's what we're dealing with right now. Bitrate, anyone know that one? It's a tricky one.
Yeah,
it's per second.
Yeah, it's the rate of the data. So how much? You'll figure it out. 3 common codecs. Anyone?
Zip.
Wow, is that it? Crap. All right. Anyway, sorry. Let me finish this, and then I'm done. Sorry, I didn't know I was going. Said Bell was going. Meta tags, metadata tags. That's an important one. We'll talk about that. 5 examples of that. What is streaming video? Give an example of streaming would be a good option for download. Anyway, so what you need to do. Okay, by our next class is I want you to research this. Just do the usual select, highlight, and then go in here. But write your notes down.
Oh, cool.
I'll get there. Write your notes down in here and answer the question in the book. So do that for this entire page. They're in the book. They're section 2.
So this is section 2?
Thing. What's thing?
There.
I think so.
Get to section 2.
Okay, so guys, can you... Well, no, you don't have. You can do them in class tomorrow, but this is, again, we're stuck. The clock's on now, so
Damn it.
It's in the book. So do all those questions. It'll help you out. Okay, and then we'll get cracking. So I think this is a good unit. Yes, excitement. I think it's cool. So think about that. Think about something real, something emotional.